Hey Frank, did you get that EDGEFINDER work done I asked you about?
Yeah, I did, but why did you have me do this?
I don't get it. I mean, why did we take away half of it?
Oh yeah, this looks just so much better. You can really read right here especially. You get everything you want just in one spot. It looks the greatest it's ever looked. Come on Frank, you get it. It makes so much more sense now. Keep it like that forever, really. Right now, for a limited time, get the EDGEFINDER half off. Yes, 50% off the EDGEFINDER. Slash that price in half and get your hands on the tool today by messaging us down below using the link in the description or in the chat right now. Keep it like that forever, really.
Generally speaking, I've been looking at Japanese yen strength and Swiss franc strength and trading that, guys. And, you know, bear in mind, I'm a intraday trader. I'm just looking for, you know, moves that I could be in for a couple of hours or maximum a couple of days, basically. So Aussie dollar yen was one trade that we were looking at today because as it pushed up, guys, this was very good weekly resistance. And as you can see, price has slowly broken down. All right, so we were just looking to take price back down to this grey zone. So we've just literally hit target on Aussie dollar yen. But it's, you know, the yen, all of the yen pairs, we've just seen, you know, if we look at the CAD yen, we've just been seeing some crazy strength on yen, euro yen. But, you know, a slightly longer term view, my intraday view, is, you know, it's just buying the retrace, guys, basically. So, you know, Aussie dollar yen, this is the weekly chart now, and I really like this level here, you know, that we're approaching now. So, you know, you can clearly see we're in an uptrend. Price is getting back down to this weekly level. Yeah, and you know, looking for potential buys from here. So yeah, yen pairs are setting up nicely in terms of they've had a retrace, they represent some value. Just looking for some nice areas to buy it. And you know, Aussie dollar yen, probably a little bit more room to the downside, and then we'll look to buy this from here. You know, potentially back up to these highs. So, you know, yen strength and also Swiss franc strength. Yeah, I've been trading Aussie dollar, Swiss franc, Canadian dollar, Swiss franc. We've been shorting these. And yeah, these have been nice trades this week. So as price has been breaking down structurally, and then just look at these bearish candles, and we've just been following this bearish momentum down, guys, really. So yeah, and we've got a couple of targets here. We've hit first target. This is our second target because you'll see there's good support at this level. So yeah, been having a bit of success with Swiss franc shorts and well, strength in the Swiss franc, and also that Aussie dollar yen trade with a bit of yen strength as well.
Okay, fair enough. And Tom, just to stay with you for a moment before we go to Frank on this, what do you think about pound yen? I know you mentioned yen pairs. I also wanted to ask you about the pound, but specifically pound yen. Someone in the chat had a question about pound yen. So shout out to Nathan for the chart request. What do you think about this one?
Want to stay up to date with all the latest trading information? In the description below, you'll find the link to join our free Discord. The Discord gives you instant access to lots of helpful material like free trading courses, chart analysis, updates about what's happening in the A1 community, as well as discount codes for our other products and services. The best part, all of this and more is 100% free. So go down in the description below this video and check it out for yourself. If you're interested in upgrading to the full VIP Discord featuring our team of expert traders signals, you can use the live chat link in the description to get connected with one of our team members in seconds. So don't wait, go check out the free Discord today.
Again, I mean, this is just crazy overbought. Yeah, I mean, look at that weekly chart. Yeah, you know, this is the weekly chart. If you look at any RSI reading, you know, that will be over 70, which is overbought territory. That's not to say it can continue doing this. I'm not saying that, but there's no value here. Yeah, there's no value in me buying this pair. Yeah, I would need a, you know, a retrace for me to start buying this pair. Okay, so that's the weekly chart. Let's take a look at the daily chart. And again, it doesn't offer great value for me. Yeah, I would like to see not only this yen pair, but a lot of the other yen pairs retrace a lot more, before we can start seeing some real value to take this potentially higher. So yen, pound yen, midterm is a buy, but at the moment I just don't have any value. And when I talk about value, guys, if I start entering the market here, there's not much room to move into, although that's probably about 3,000 pips on pound yen. But, I need price to retrace because this represents value for me. Yeah, I don't know where it's going to retrace, guys, but the more it retraces, the more inclined I am to buy pound yen. So retrace, buy it on pound yen, basically.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, and thanks for that. I know you just went through a lot of pairs for us, so appreciate it for sure, Tom. Frank, what about you? Are you looking at anything today? Any trades you're in or charts you're watching closely?
Yeah. Other than gold, I'm in gold right now, but setup wise, I'm looking at pound yen. To Tom's point, it is overstretched. It could be overbought or something, but the pair just comes down, makes a lower low like we've seen, and then comes back up. And I think it's because just in terms of central banks, the sentiment around both is just very starkly opposite. So Governor Bailey spoke, I think it was yesterday and Sunday, about how they still need to continue tightening going forward, and that inflation is still a huge issue, and basically everything that he spoke about was pretty hawkish. Meanwhile, BOJ, like we've talked about, is very the opposite. They're dovish and they want to focus on the economy. I like what Tom says about what you said, Tom, about coming down and further retracements, because it will add more value. But again, if there's a setup near the highs where it looks like it can continue going higher, like if this daily candle finishes, I guess, in this hammer formation or pin bar, then we see some buying pressure. I think that could confirm, maybe another setup here. But I like looking at the longer time frames, especially since this pair has just run up so fast and so hard.
Yeah, no, and I think that's another thing to think about when you talk about like a pair like this, GJ. Clearly, like if you pull up like a weekly chart, it looks really, really, strongly overbought, right? But then the thing is, to your point there, Frank, like if you have a setup and it looks like the risk reward still looks good, you could still put a stop loss on your trade. You can still control your risk and say, well, like, I like this. I think the bullish momentum, as crazy as it sounds, could continue. Some of our best trades have been in those sort of environments, Frank, where many people would kind of point at it and say like, you're chasing this market. But the thing is, you can trade momentum carefully, where you put a stop loss and you're not taking a giant position, and you're very aware that despite it being a little bit overbought, there's clearly a premium to be paid for such a strong trade. And you mentioned, when you look fundamentals, pound or the UK, comparing it to Japan, it's two very different economic situations, right? The UK has a relatively strong economy and also facing serious inflation issues. And then you have Japan, which is like the opposite. They can't get growth to stick. And so they've been in this perpetual, quantitative easing for a very long time. And so it's two different divergences between the fundamentals there, which can really cause some strong trends to occur, like we're seeing in some of the pound yen or some of the yen pairs, especially things like pound yen. So I can kind of see both cases. I think, like I said, if we're going to trade momentum on pullbacks in pound yen, even off the daily chart, you do, to Tom's point, just have to be careful that if it does start to kind of fall apart, you got to get out of the way, because the pullbacks can be nasty on yen pairs. So it's kind of one of those things. Playing with yen pairs to me has always kind of been like a game of musical chairs. Like, you could do fine, but you gotta know if the music stops, you got to get a chair. In this case, a stop loss. So Tom, what else are you looking at? So you mentioned a lot of yen pairs. Do you have any thoughts on the dollar right now? The dollar has been falling pretty hard. What do you have any dollar crosses that you're looking at?
Yeah, well, you showed us the dollar index earlier, and that is dropping like a stone. But getting a little bit mixed messages across all the US dollar pairs. So euro US dollar, for example, nothing but buys would make sense, and I'll show you a setup I'm looking at shortly. Pound US dollar's the same. Yeah, if we look at the day chart, it's getting some nice bullish momentum. Yeah, clearly in an uptrend. So euro, US dollar, pound, US dollar looking like buys. But then you look at other US dollar pairs like US dollar, Canadian dollar, for example. This structure is in a buying structure, an uptrend, which would suggest US dollar strength. And also, if we look at Aussie dollar, US dollar, this is also suggesting, a bit of US dollar strength, which goes completely against what the dollar index is telling us. So slightly mixed messages across a few of these US dollar pairs. But if I was to trade one, I quite like a setup on euro US dollar. So I still think euro US dollar on this day chart has a little bit more room to move into. So, as you can see, guys, it broke. We thought potentially it could be breaking down. Yeah, but it held on to these lows. It never broke these lows. And then we got some real buying momentum. Okay, breaking out of this, descending triangle, if you like. So I like buys here. It's, bullish candle. I think we got a bit more room up to this 1.1050 level, if not a little bit higher up to here. And then if we drop down to the H4, so that's generally what I look for. I look for direction on the day chart and then execute on the lower time frames. But there's a really nice area through here. If I zoom out, you can see this area of support resistance. Price has reacted, about 300 times at this level. So all I'm looking for, guys, is a bit of a retrace. I think because of this H4 candle, I think it's going to make it down into this gray zone somewhere. The moving average 50, the moving average 20, which I use as dynamic support. I think this is a really nice area to look for buys on euro US dollar, potentially back up to that higher target that I spoke about. So yeah, euro US dollar is interesting to me once it reaches this level.
Yeah, I like that one as well. Euro dollar, definitely looking strong. And I mean, the breakout here pretty apparent. Yesterday on stream, I talked a lot about this range and questioned whether or not bulls would be able to get above this. So I think for me, just from a price action standpoint, this breakout that we saw in the euro told me a lot in terms of how strong euro bulls seem to be right now. So we've got the break, we've got a pullback. I think if you're a euro dollar bull, this is looking kind of interesting. These levels that were resistance, you kind of have to mark them on your chart now as sort of captured areas for the bulls. So we'll see if this one continues to run, but it does look bullish to me, despite it being, again, kind of looking perhaps overbought. What we capture a lot of times on streams, we talk about momentum. And as long as we have, reasonable risk to reward on our trades, waiting for pullbacks, there could still be some excellent opportunities in the market, despite it being kind of overbought in some characteristics. again, overbought, oversold, are relative to time frames and also the strategy that you're using. So of course, we're talking our own strategies, our own analysis. You've got to make sure that it fits in with what you are trading at home, for those of you guys who are watching. So yeah. Frank, any thoughts on dollar pairs to close this out here? What do you, I know you traded, or you talked about gold. Do you have any dollar thoughts today? You've got S&P pulled up. Feel free to cover that as well if you'd like.
I have dollar thoughts, but I don't have any dollar pairs other than gold that I want to talk about. But this will apply to gold and the indices. So if we look for the past like 5 days or so, price has pretty much not moved on the S&P. Gold is kind of the same way, although COT's bought up I guess considerably more. So price has actually been able to move a little higher within the past couple days, but it's just going to be a tug of war kind of until tomorrow, till we see CPI. What I guess the market is looking for is something lower than the expectation, just because if we see inflation coming down and it's working out, and the Fed may suggest that the Fed wants to hold rates where they are. But core will have to comply as well. So we have CPI month over month, but we also need the core to comply. And in this case, the expectations are already higher than previous. So the market's just kind of wishy-washy, and gold is coming back and forth as well. So we're just waiting on the news. So we probably won't see any kind of decision until after the news tomorrow morning.
Don't forget to check out the links in the description if you want our broker recommendation, access to our free Discord, free EDGEFINDER, or want to chat with us on Telegram. Remember, you can watch us live in the markets every morning starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have lots more free trading tools and content available on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching.